So, in our studies of art history, I wanted to begin with a very important set of stones that were located um, that show the evidence of, I guess you would say, the first beginnings of drawings that we have. And those are what you're seeing are the Apollo 11 stones. And you may think, well, what does that have to do with the Apollo 11? Because we think of space, and you'll find out. So, this is an image of the Apollo 11 stones, and you can tell that it looks like they might have broken in half, which they did. But we see that it is the image, we think, of an animal. So, let's see what they say. These were located in Namibia, and we're going to see a map that shows where Namibia is. And here is our article. It's a significant discovery. Approximately 25,000 years ago, in a rock shelter in the Huns Mountains of Namibia on the southwest coast of Africa, which today is part of the IJs Richtersveld Transfrontier Park, an animal was drawn in charcoal on a hand-sized slab of stone. The stone was left behind, over time becoming buried on the floor of the cave by layers of sediment and debris until 1969, when a team led by German archaeologist W. E. Wendt excavated the rock shelter and found the first fragment, which is in the image that we saw earlier. That would be the left side that he found. Wendt named the cave Apollo 11 upon hearing on his shortwave radio of NASA's successful space mission to the moon. It was more than 3 years later, however, after a subsequent or later excavation, when Wendt discovered the matching fragment, which is the one on the right in the picture, that archaeologists and art historians began to understand the significance of the find. Indirect dating techniques. In total, 7 stone fragments of brown-gray quartzite, some of them depicting traces of animal figures drawn in charcoal, ochre, and white, were found buried in a concentrated area of the cave floor less than 2 meters square. While it is not possible to learn the actual date of the fragments, it is possible to estimate when the rocks were buried by radiocarbon dating the archaeological layer in which they were found. Archaeologists estimate that the cave stones were buried between 25,500 and 25,300 years ago during the Middle Stone Age period in southern Africa, making them, at the time of their discovery, the oldest dated art known on the African continent and among the earliest evidence of human artistic expression worldwide. Here's our map, and we see in Namibia, which is towards the southern tip of Africa, we see that it's very close to South Africa. And so you want to get a feeling for where in the world these items are being found. So this tells you where the Huns Mountains are. While more recent discoveries of much older human artistic endeavors have corrected our understanding, consider the 2008 discovery of a 100,000-year-old paint workshop in the Blombos Cave on the southern coast of Africa. The stones remain the oldest examples of figurative art from the African continent. Their discovery contributes to our conception of early humanity's creative attempts before the invention of formal writing to express their thoughts about the world around them. So, what they're saying is that these drawings with charcoal and other materials, these took place, and this was how the people that drew them communicated, because at that point they did not have formal writing. The origins of art. Genetic and fossil evidence tells us that Homo sapiens, which are anatomically modern humans who evolved from an earlier species of hominids, developed on the continent of Africa more than 100,000 years ago and have spread throughout the world. But what we do not know, what we have only been able to assume, is that art too began in Africa. Is Africa, where humanity originated, home to the world's oldest art? If so, can we say that art began in Africa? 100,000 years of human occupation. Now, this is an image. It says view across Fish River Canyon towards the Huns Mountains. So this is an area, and you can see the mountains in the distance. This is an area that you would see around the mountains. The Apollo 11 rock shelter overlooks a dry gorge sitting 20 meters above what was once a river that ran along the valley floor. The cave entrance is wide, about 28 meters across, and the cave itself is deep, 11 meters from front to back. While today a person can stand upright only in the front section of the cave, during the Middle Stone Age as well as in the periods before and after, the rock shelter was an active site of ongoing human settlement. So they didn't have houses like we do now, obviously, but that's where the humans that were in that area, that's where they took shelter. Inside the cave, above and below the layer where the Apollo 11 cave stones were found, archaeologists unearthed a sequence of cultural layers representing over 100,000 years of human occupation. In these layers, stone artifacts typical of the Middle Stone Age period, such as blades, pointed flakes, and scraper, were found in raw materials not native to the region, signaling stone tool technology transported over long distances. Among the remnants of hearths, ostrich eggshell fragments bearing traces of red color were also found, either remnants of ornamental painting or evidence that the eggshells were used as containers to hold the pigment. And then here you can get a better view. This is the excavation site of the Apollo 11 stones. On the cave walls belonging to the later Stone Age period, rock paintings were discovered depicting white and red zigzags, 2 handprints, 3 geometric images, and traces of color. And on the banks of the riverbed just upstream from the cave, engravings of a variety of animals, some with zigzag lines leading upwards, were found and dated to less than 2,000 years ago.